Hello, my dear friends. As the war in Gaza continues to rage and unfold, there's something that we must do on a constant basis, and that is to talk about the greatness of Klal Yisrael. We've experienced since the Holocaust, there hasn't been a series of events that have had the same magnitude of trauma and pain and suffering, and the atrocities that took place, beginning with October 7th, and the response of the Jewish community, both in Eretz Yisrael, the citizens of Israel, and the Jews worldwide, has been over the charts. It's been amazing. It's been beautiful. It's been magnificent. The amount of chesed that's being done, and the achdus of all segments of Klal Yisrael coming together, and the amount of Torah study, and the davening, and the tefillos, and the religious inspiration, and the people putting on, for the first time in their lives, talis and tefillin and tzitzis, and putting up mezuzahs, and the so many things that have been taking place, and the sacrifices that people are willing to make. It's just amazing, and it should be spoken about over and over again. And this is in stark contrast to what the enemies of the Jewish people, the anti-Semites around the world, from the moment that the attack took place, they have accused Israel of being not the victim but the perpetrator, and they fabricated all sorts of exaggerations and distortions and things that are baseless. But the reality is that it's just the opposite. The Jewish people are amazing, and the way they have conducted themselves, both before, but especially in the aftermath of of October 7th, has been just mamish unbelievable, and something that's amazing to behold. Why is it so important to talk about this? Because there's a concept of being melamed sanigara, that a Jew has to find ways of describing the greatness of the Jewish people. To melamed means to teach. To teach sanigar. A sanigar is somebody who's an advocate, like a public advocate. A sanigar, there's a sanigara of the Jewish people, is somebody who advocates for Klal Yisrael. And the opposite is a kategar, somebody that criticizes. So the Gemara says that the Satan is a kategar. The Satan stands before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And his job, he's a malach, but his job nonstop is to find fault in the Jewish people. This is no good, that's no good. And the counterbalance to that is the kategar, is the sanegar, is the angel that speaks well about the Jewish people. On Yom Kippur, when we daven at night, we say, Has kategar v'kach sanegar mikoma. Silence the kategar, silence the one who criticizes, silence the accuser, and instead the one that's the protector, the one that's the advocate, let him take his place. So the Svarim say that we have a hand in empowering the kategar and the sanegar. They're standing there. There's kategar. There's maybe thousands of them. The angels that are accusing and the angels that are protecting. We empower them. And when a person speaks ill of another Jew, we are empowering the kategar, chas v'shalom, and they become more effective. And when we speak good about Klal Yisrael, then we are empowering the sanegar. And there's a magnificent sefer that I have here. It's called Pelo Yoetz. It was written by Rabbi Eliezer Popo about 200 years ago. He was a great Mekubal and Talmid Chacham who lived in Constantinople. And Pelo Yoetz means amazing advice. That's the name of the sefer. Amazing advice. Whatever he writes in the sefer is amazing advice. Basically, learn the whole sefer cover to cover. So, but he has a long discussion about the importance of being melamed sanigar, the importance of speaking well about the Jewish people. Because when we speak well, we empower the sanigarim that are in front of God. We empower them. And when we're negative, then we empower the kategar, the accusing angel. He says that Rabbanim, when they give drushes and Yom Noraim, especially Yom Noraim, but it's true all year as well, they should not say, people do this wrong and you do that wrong. They should say that this is what we need to be doing, because when you accuse and when you denigrate, then you're being a kategar and you're empowering the kategorim. And he says, especially in a time where there's a Sarah, where there's a crisis, and we're in a Sarah, we're in a time of crisis, and the Jewish people, we need all the help that we could get. So we have to empower the Sanegar by speaking well about the Jewish people, and not to empower the Kategar by speaking ill about and talk about the negative things that Klal Yisrael have done and committed. So I think it's important to keep on talking over and over again how amazing the response of the Jewish people is. And if we read stories and we read them in the paper or we hear them from our friends or our relatives, we should repeat those stories, because we need to be melamed. At a time like this, we need to be melamed Sanigara. And the Gedol Yisrael, the Baditchev Rebbe, for example, he was always melamed Sanigara. He always managed to find ways to compliment the Jewish people. There's a famous story, I've told it 1,000 times. There was a man smoking on Yom Kippur, a Jew, and he's smoking on Yom Kippur, and he said to Rav Yid, he says, do you know it's Yom Kippur? And he says, of course I know. And he says, do you know you're not allowed to smoke on Yom Kippur? He says, yes, I know. He says, Ribbon Shalom, look at the greatness of the Jewish people. This man, he knows it's Yom Kippur, and he knows he's not allowed to smoke on Yom Kippur, and still he won't lie. That was the brilliance of the Berditchever, but he was always found ways to find that kernel of good in a Jew's heart, or in the Jew, or a person's actions. And that's what we need to do. We need to be Melamed Sanigara. At a time like this, we have to talk about how special the Jewish people are, and that will empower the angel who's the master Kateger, the one that's standing before the throne of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that he should have the power and the ammunition to be able to speak about the Jewish people in the most loftiest of terms. I read in the, I'm sure many of you read it as well, something that I couldn't even believe it. It was beyond belief. One of the three hostages that were in Gaza, and they were accidentally murdered by Tzahal this week. They were able to free themselves, and the army who was there, the members of the army, thought they were terrorists, and they shot them and killed them. What a horrible tragedy that was! Could you imagine? Here they were hostages for so long, and they freed themselves, and they were murdered by friendly fire. It was just indescribable pain. So Iris, one of the three, was Yotam Haim. Yotam Haim is the one who has curly bushy red hair. You could see he has on his face. There's a beautiful look of innocence and excitement and Hadra's Panim, I believe, in his face. And he was in captivity, and he was one of the three that was murdered. So his mother, Iris, wrote a letter to, I'm sure you heard about this. She wrote a letter to the soldiers in the brigade, which was responsible. It was in that brigade that was in the area at that time, and it was members of the brigade that went and shot her son together with the two other hostages. So she writes as far as, she says, I am Yotam's mother. I wanted to say that I love you very much, and I hug you from afar. And I know that everything that happened is not your fault at all, but the fault of Hamas. I ask you to take care of yourselves and think all the time that you're doing the best thing in the world that can help us as a people, as the people of Israel. We all need you. We all need you safe and sound. And don't hesitate if you see a terrorist. Don't think that you might be making a mistake by killing the terrorist. If you know these are terrorists, he needs to be killed. But the unbelievable that a mother who's mourning for her son should be able to have the courage and the fortitude and the gvura to be able to tell the soldiers, I don't blame you. It's not your fault. And on the contrary, she says, I love you. It's astounding. It's mamish astounding that she probably these soldiers that accidentally killed these boys, their lives were ruined. The pain, the trauma for them is so enormous to have made such a horrible mistake, and you can't imagine how much suffering they were enduring. And here the mother is attempting to correct that and to let them know, no, it's not your fault. And not only did she not blame them, she says, I love you. How does she have the fortitude? And I hug you. Where does she draw from such tremendous depth of feelings? But this is a reflection. Iris Haim. This is she's one single person, one mother of Yotam Chaim. But this is the greatness of Klal Yisrael, and that she should be able to feel that way and to respond. It's Jewish values. It's the values that we have from the Torah. It's the values that we have from the Ribono Shel Olam, and it's just such a heartwarming and amazing story about what she did and how she communicated with the soldiers. And when we repeat such stories, this will be a tremendous chus for Klal Yisrael. Just repeating the story, because then by doing so, we are being melamed kategora. We are speaking well about the Jewish people. We are being melamed. We are teaching the Sanigaria. We are teaching the advocacy for the Jewish people, and that will empower those angels that are standing before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, arguing our case. We try on our own to argue, but there are angels that are arguing as well, and we empower them. And the Mirz Hashem, the Ribono Shel Olam, should listen to the tefillos of Klal Yisrael, and he should see all the mitzvahs that we are performing, not as individuals, but performing together as a tremendous sibur. The hostages should go free, b'mehera, b'karov, and they should be of sound body and mind, and there should be peace and shalom in Eretz Yisrael for Klal Yisrael, and for Klal Yisrael living in Eretz Yisrael, and for Klal Yisrael throughout the entire world. I wish everyone a very wonderful and beautiful good Shabbos.